everyone. This is Laura Simpson from Web Luminary, and I wanted to step through Google Analytics. It's a free tool that shows you the people, well, the computers, more than the people behind the computers that are accessing your website. So I'm going to do a share screen and walk you through the main parts of Google Analytics. So first of all, if you're one of my clients listening to this, I set up Google Analytics for you. And the way you get to it is analytics.google.com. And I don't expect you to remember that. So you can also search for Google Analytics. You just got to remember what it's called. And I am looking at my website right now. So this is pretty indicative of what your website analytics should look like. So just to go over it again, Google Analytics is a data collection and reporting tool. It's free, and your login is through your Gmail account. And I require that all my clients have a Gmail account, and they're free, so there's no point in not having one. It's nice to have kind of an extra email account. So this Google Analytics is a free tool from Google, and you know what is happening on your website when someone visits it. And if you're a small business, you don't really need to look at this that often. I might look at mine maybe once a month. And I just sort of check to see if anything is looking wrong. And by looking wrong, I'll explain later. So this isn't about vanity. This isn't about how many people come to your website, because really, as we go through the data, you're going to see that I get hits from China. Do I get calls from China? No. So, you know, people are hitting your website. They found it. Maybe it's a competitor. It could be someone who has a somewhat similar name to yours, and then they hit your website and they realize that you aren't who they were looking for. So, you know, let's not take that much stock in the numbers. But what I do take stock in, and what I always ask my clients is, are you getting phone calls from your website? And another thing you could look at is what pages are they looking at, and whether they leave your site immediately. So I'm going to talk about some different things, and we're going to go over, I'm actually going to create a PDF of some top 10 terms that I think you should know. And I'm going to go over these real quick, and then I will have a PDF link at the bottom of my YouTube description for this video, so you can download it. So number one, a hit. A hit is when there's any kind of data collection going on Google Analytics. It's just called a hit. Kind of violent. Think about some other uses of the word hit. But anyway, the number two word is metric. So Google Analytics has two basic ways of showing you data, and that's a metric. So it's either a sum. So for me, I've had 20 users last week. This is the week after Thanksgiving. So it is quite a bit lower than the week before, but I really don't care. I was off last week, and so were a lot of other people. So anyway, so it's a sum. Metric can either be a sum or a ratio. So as you can see, it's showing me my bounce rate is 75%. That's the percentage of the number of people that hit my website and bounced off, which means they only looked at that page they hit and then went away. It didn't go on the second page. So that's what that means. Another, so I've just discussed the bounce rate. I need to actually add that. I think we might have 11 terms, or maybe more like the top 20. But Bounce rate, that's what that means. What is a good bounce rate? Anything that is lower than 80%, I would say, because you don't want the wrong. Usually what that means is that they got what they're looking for immediately, which could be good. If they're looking for a phone number or whatever, then they don't need to look anywhere else if they already know you. So, you know, but you don't want everybody hitting your website to already know you. Except they found you because they needed someone like you and they didn't know who to pick. So, you know, if you're a painter or something, they're looking at other painters, are probably going to look at other pages on your website, and you want the bounce rate to be somewhere between, well, anything lower than 80% is fine. Again, I'm not worrying about last week. I would look at a bigger view, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Page view. So I talked about a page view. A page view is exactly what it sounds like, a person viewing a page. There can be a person on your website and they view multiple pages. That would each count as a page view. Events. That's not really shown right here, but as we drill down, we'll see events. Events is loading a file, downloading a PDF. Dimension is a characteristic of a piece of data. Again, you'll see that as we drill down. But for example, the location, being in North Carolina, you can actually, that's a characteristic. And a segment is a set of users that are within that dimension. So all the users who live in North Carolina, that would be a segment. You could also say a segment could be everybody over the age of 50 if we were tracking that. A segment could be everyone who hit your contact page. I mean, it's, for the most part, I use it for geography because that's usually clients, people who are near me geographically, even though I can work anywhere else. I tend to trust people that you know you can find them. A session is the period, the number of unique log, I guess, views of your whole website. So for example, if someone comes in and looks at page 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a session. If they come back the next in 30 minutes, that's another session. So if they leave it up and then they come back in 30 minutes, that counts as another section. And 30 minutes is just some arbitrary amount of time that Google picked. It really is 30 minutes. And then source and medium. So you'll actually see that down here, where the origin of your traffic, where did they come from? And as I'm covering, I see direct and organic search. I'll talk to you about what that means. And view settings. All right, so now we're going to go into some of these. I want to drill down. And the very first page actually shows you quite a bit. How many people are on my website right now? The answer is 0. And if you're an e-commerce site like Amazon, if you saw 0, you would freak out and go something wrong with your website. But for the most part, having 10 users a day for a few minutes a day is not that unusual for me. And so that's just right now. This little block here is just, it defaults to 7 days, but you can change that. I'm going to go into the last 90 days. My bounce rate's higher. And the last 90 days was not as good as the 90 days before that. So let's go in here into my audience overview. And we can actually do a month over month. So why would you want to do this? Let's say that you hired a social media manager and they've been taking care of your website since September. You want to see that you're getting more traffic. People are, as a result of social media, they're going on the website. So I'm going to compare September 1st to November 28th, that's today, to the previous period. It's calculated for the exact number of days, June 4th to August 31st. Why? And then you'll see, so this is one reason why you might want to go it again. Google Analytics again. You want to see if things are improving or getting worse, or in terms of traffic. And again, I don't take this too much for me because I only take care of 1 to 2 clients a month. So I need traffic, but traffic is really maybe 20% of my business as far as people finding me in Google, calling me up, and website designer. And then, let's say you're a painter and people call you less in the winter. So you're going to expect to see less users and sessions. But again, let's say this is, you're not seasonal, and you want to see the effects of having the social media manager, for example. You can say, okay, well, June should have less numbers than July. So what it's saying is that September to November had less returning, had more new users than June through August. Okay, that's good. So I'm getting new users. And then let's look at where are they coming from. So this is another thing. So this is the United States. September to November, 75% were from the United States, 65 were from somewhere else. So you got to kind of take these things with a grain of salt. This means some bots or somebody working on the website in June. So, a 10% increase in numbers is not enough for me, really, to say one way or the other. And I didn't really hire a social media manager, but I'm just saying an example. But again, if you see a huge jump in the number of users, a huge increase of more, and how long they're staying. So for me, this is good. They're staying a little bit longer right now. There's less. So for me, that's more quality. That's how long they're staying on my website. Maybe that's the metrics I want to look at. How long, that's the session duration, how long they're on there. So that's one big thing. Another huge, I'm going back to the home. And how do you acquire users? That's another huge thing for me. And what I've done with this, and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to go into the acquisition report. This is just blue on blue, and it's really hard to read. So if you go into the acquisition report, you will see, if I'll do that too. Say something like what I change the dates. This is more meaningful for me. So where are people coming from? How did they find me? And this is pretty much a little high for direct, but direct means they know me already. They type in www.luminary.com and they're looking at my website. 28% of people are finding me through search, which is good. That gets bigger and bigger the longer you've been around. And my website's been around maybe more like 2.5 years. I've been in business 3, but changed business name, so can't really correlate it. And then percent are coming from social, see a little slice of the pie, and some are coming from referral. Referral means they came from somewhere else other than social media, and Google or direct search. So referral, a lot, I put my link on the bottom of all the websites I was on. So that's probably where that came from. So organic search is what a lot of people are interested in. So I click on this and I can see a bunch of junk. All right, there's somebody from the capture that's walking me down. I'm going to switch to source medium. That's much better. So I can see that I'm getting quite a few from Baidu, which is a search engine from China. That's a line. And Google, and then LinkedIn is next. Then Facebook. So this is what I really like to look at because I've spent some time on Instagram, and I basically figured out that no one ever goes on my website based on seeing my Instagram post. And I tried that. I tried Instagram for maybe 4 or 5 months, and I have about 400 followers, and they're all different. It's mostly businesses because I don't really follow my friends, but they might follow me. So anyway, nobody comes to my website from Instagram, and I can see that right here. Next favorite report of mine is Search Console queries. I do look at this. I really, I kind of decide what I want to rank for, and there's a whole other video on that. That's called, I think I call that how to spy on your competition. But I want to see what people are typing in. So web design, North Carolina has gotten me a click. That's great. And then these are how many times I show up in a search engine, namely Google, for these terms. So I'm getting found for best search engine optimization company in Cary, North Carolina. And then the other thing, and I'm totally giving away my competition's really going to bother looking at this. So I just did a sort on average position. So what I'm curious at is, where am I in the top 10? And again, proximity, like how close people's computers are when they type in search terms, affects my ranking. So for example, I live in Cary, and if you live in Apex, but you live in North Apex, I might actually get found in your search results if you type in website design. But for the most part, I'm putting in the town I live in because that's what people use, and that's what I'm more likely to get found on. So I'm getting found on Luminary web design. What that shows me is that people can't quite remember my business name, and they remember it's got the word Luminary in it. So they're typing that in, and they're finding me. I rank number 3 for that. There is a company called Luminary, something in Australia, that's been around a long time. So they might rank higher because there's nothing in here that says I'm in Cary in North Carolina in the search terms. You see what I'm saying here? So for most of my local businesses, what I do is I pick the cities with the business owner to figure out what cities we should rank for. And a lot of that has to do with whether you have physical location or not, and where your customers currently are, and where you think your customer, or where you want to grow. So as you can see, I'm really good down for Cary. And I'm number 6 for freelance website designer, Cary. That's all of Cary. I live pretty much in this corner of Cary that's pretty far from the other side of Cary. So not bad. So I decided, and I ranked in Holly Springs because I did a website for someone in Holly Springs, and I always put the town that the website business is in my portfolio. And you can see as we go down. And then I decided about 6 months ago, I want to rank for Durham. So I started putting Durham into my metadata, and it's working. I got a client from Durham, but I wonder if it was a proximity thing. So you can see I rank 10, 11, 11, 13, but now you're getting into page 2. But again, proximity, how close the computer is to me, and type it in, will bump me up. And so impressions are showing how often I show up in Google for these terms. So what this means is that web design carry is 273. And let's say I wasn't, actually maybe I'm not, I'll have to look at this. So web design carry and doing 273 hits for that. And what that says to me is maybe I need to start trying to rank for website design. But I'm sure I do somewhere. And but that's the kind of thing you can get from it. And see what towns you're ranking in. I'm ranking carry like the Busters and Quay Marina a little bit. And so that's what that means. And you can sort these based on impressions. This is 3 months worth of data. So the number one thing that I rank for is MailerLite versus MailChimp. I wrote a blog post on that. The MailChimp versus MailerLite. And then I rank for website, web design carry. Isn't that fun? Impressions, how many times I did it. Yeah, I think impressions is actually a bigger word than fit now. I'm not too good for that. The next favorite report that I think is something all small business owners should be somewhat. So now we know where people come from, and you can drill down. Sorry, I'm going backwards again. But I went into organic search, and you can see this is like just a week's worth. Social media. If you click on social media, you'll see Facebook is actually number 1, LinkedIn number 2, Instagram. I get 3 people that come from Instagram. Actually, they're quality people. They looked at me for 4 pages. All right, well, maybe I need to do Instagram. So again, this is acquisition. So that's how they came in. The next big, so we talked about who they are. Actually, I didn't really talk about audience. I'm sorry, I'm skipping. Audience overview. Let's talk about this. Where are they coming from? You can drill this down to even the state that you're in. Geolocation. You click here. And as you can see, I get more hits from North Carolina. Oh, shoot, I get more ranks from Virginia. That's my home state, but I'm not trying to rank there. That's very interesting. Okay, I haven't seen this in a while, but the bounce rate's very high, 97%. So you gotta wonder if there was a bot hitting me, but just a bot's just a computer. This is every state that is found. So for some of these small businesses, like some of this data makes no sense at all. If you are a painter again, and you work in North Carolina only, like you really only care about this. So again, I'm under audience, geo, location. North Carolina's got 70 people. I don't know. Okay, and it tells me what towns. It's Raleigh, Durham, Cary. That's who's finding me. A little different than the words they're typing. So maybe someone is in Raleigh looking for Cary website design for some reason. I don't know. Sometimes this stuff is complex. It's complex to me, but I really don't care what town it comes from. But this is just for some people it might matter. So you see, you can just drill, you can show you a little picture. This is where we start. So that's the audience. That's who. Real time doesn't tell you anything unless you're on the website. And then last acquisition, I went through and I showed you how to see exactly what you're typing in. And lastly, this is my next favorite thing. And I'm not going to go over conversions that much because you all aren't e-commerce and I don't have anything really set up for that. I have it set up where people go to my contact page, I see it. But anyway, let's talk about behavior. This is interesting. The bigger your website is, the more interesting this is. The more blog posts you have, the more pages. It shows you what people are looking at. So the slash right here is the homepage. So my homepage gets 35% of my views. Next is my contact page. Next is, this is actually my portfolio, then my pricing, and then logo pricing, and then my FAQ. This is reCAPTCHA kind of running in the background. And then this is an about me page, and then my blog. And then number 10 is why does it matter if my website is mobile friendly? That's the title of the latest blog post I did. And you can see that's getting pretty good hits. So you can continue to drill down. We can change the time. So I hit view full page report. And I'm going to go for, just going to change to June 5. And if you're wondering how long more I'm going to talk, this is basically where I'm going to end. The last thing I'm going to show you. This is everything for about 6 months since June, and what are people looking at? So they're looking at my homepage, they're looking at my portfolio, and then maybe they decide to contact me immediately. They're looking at my FAQ, and again, you can just see the names of the pages. And I do the same thing for all of you. I do very descriptive pages, also page of SEO, so you can see what's going on. If you have a blog, and I do have a few clients that have a fairly large blog. You'll see, I can tell that these are mostly my pages, and then here's my blog posts. My blog posts, does your business really need a logo redesign? Don't put your marketing mix in my basket. You can just see the popularity of my different blog posts. And I might come in here and say, well, one thing I did do is I did a blog post on Google Analytics and no one looked at it. So it's pretty funny I'm doing this video, but this is mostly for my clients, just so you kind of know what you're looking at, and you can go in yourself and see what's going on. So lastly, I said that was my last view. So page views, I said unique page views is people not hitting the refresh button. Average time on page. That's the speaks for itself. Entrances, that's meaning they came in through this page. So people, as you can see, people are coming in through my blog post. Still, most people are coming in from my page, but still. And then you can also look at the bounce rate. So the bounce rate on that FAQ is not so great. It's pretty high. I'm told it's good, but anyway, my pricing page has a pretty high exit rate. It might be good and bad. You know, I don't want to attract the $500 clients. So for me, I don't care. Just because maybe it's attracting the 5% that I want. is not doing that. And then you have to have a little bit of humility with the stuff. So for the most part, people are looking at my blogs and leaving. Maybe I need to put more links between my blogs. I probably do. So that's what this bounce rate means. It means they look at just that one page and then they leave. And then they have a percentage that exit. So if everybody always exit, well, the capture is fine. But privacy policy, must be really weird. And then this is maybe the least favorite blog post. Everybody exits from there. And these are categories. So I can probably need some information from there. You know, people are leaving, are they enticed to keep on reading my blog post? I'm a big blogger, this matters. I'm going to show a client of mine. He's a huge blogger. He's actually a sports writer. And last time I checked, he had the most hits than anybody. So this is just a week. He had 1,000 visitors. There's one person on his website right now. It's really exciting to look at someone who's got a huge website. It's a huge website. And then let's just look at the behavior. And it'd be interesting to see, do people leave his website after reading a blog post? Probably not. Oh, he full report. It's like these weird things. Okay. You get 500 rows. Yeah. And as you can see, each one of these lines is a different blog post. He has, okay, so they're in categories, but he has about 400 blog posts. His website's been active about a year, and he writes 2 or 3 articles a day. Does that add up? Maybe 2 or 3 articles a week. That makes more sense. I don't know. You do the math. I don't care. But anyway, you can see his number 1 is actually a blog post. Kentucky provides Michigan State with example to follow. That's the name of his blog post. And that's number 1 right now. And then a lot of people exit after that because I guess they're really interested in Kentucky. He writes a lot about Michigan State. He went there. Next is his homepage, and you can see all the different. I'm not sure what that is. So, I mean, I can click on this link and you can find out. It tells you what page it is in case something doesn't come through. Oh, I'm going to give it a name. Oh my Lord. Okay, we put a book graphic on here this way. Sorry, Tom. If you're watching, just look at all these blog posts. Holy cow. So it is interesting that a lot of times people are reading and not looking at his other blog posts. You can definitely link between them better, and I know you can do that. He does this more for a portfolio to show writing. He works for Duke University and writes for their sports. He used to work for the News and Observer, but anyway, look at that. Look at all those views. He's going to be found on Google like gangbusters because he uses, you know, he has long names and people are wanting to find out about sports. And so, yeah, there you go. You can always up your traffic and get these vanity metrics, not to that extent. There's 2 people on this website. But it's all about how much money are you willing to cost and how much time and effort are you willing to put into it. Are you getting people to your website? Are they calling you, which is hard to measure here? If the answer is yes, then I would say don't worry. Unless they stop calling you when they were calling you. And then, you know, is anything really broken and can be improved, the answer is always yes. Always improve your website. I mentioned how I could link between my blogs, but there's always things you can do. But really, it's about getting your customer client to do that one thing. And for almost all of my clients, except for Tom, you just want them to call you. So I guess what I'm saying is don't worry too much about this, but if you're ever curious, this is fun to look at. And and if you ever want to go into business, it'll be something that I'll look at. Or if you just want to, you need more clients, or you want to go into another state like Virginia, you can figure out how to add to your website so that you get the clients that you need. So there you go, there's Google Analytics. And let me know if you have any questions based on this video. Laura Simpson at Globally Married. You know where to find me. Bye.